Out of the heart of the soulful Chicago Book Fair comes the Soulful Book Fair Foundation. The Soulful Book Fair Foundation provides programming, training, and literary opportunities for Black-themed writers and their readers, while increasing exposure and access to culturally relevant literature in Black communities. The Soulful Book Fair Foundation is built on 4 pillars. Enhance the Black literary marketplace, bolster training and marketing for Black writers, archive Black stories and literary experiences, and foster writing and telling of stories through Black youth. Our signature book fairs have showcased over 350 authors. Still, there are not enough opportunities for Black writers to promote their work. The Soulful Book Fair Foundation helps to enhance the Black literary marketplace and provide avenues for authors to gain exposure and sell their books. Everyone has a story to tell. For those people courageous enough to become authors, we help guide them through the process of building a business around their books. From effectively presenting at events, to maximizing social media.
Learning what Snapchat is, learning what Instagram is, how to use it, how to market to it. So I think that is what made me, I didn't sell out. I think I brought about 80 books and I sold like 68. So I think that was really, really good.
We offer training and marketing to help Black authors so they can confidently develop fruitful literary careers.
Soulful Chicago Book Fair, be there!
Understanding the past allows one to map out the future. We preserve the stories behind the storytelling of activists, writers, leaders, and youth in the Black community through state-of-the-art videography. Produced by the media partner of the Soulful Book Fair Foundation, OM Productions International. We transform history into our story.
I purchased my first property at 19 years old, and I have done more than 20 deals since then. I can teach you too. Come visit me at the Soulful Chicago Book Fair, July.
Myth. Children today do not read and write as much as we did in the past. Children today actually read and write more than we used to, because they post and text as their primary form of communication. The Soulful Book Fair Foundation creates opportunities for young people to share their stories through special workshops.
So in our African tradition, when you have special programs like this, you usually or always begin it with a libation before our Savior Denmark BC. He was recruiting enslaved Africans for 5 years in Charleston, South Carolina, to take over that city.
Hey, Black child, be what you can be. Learn what you must learn. Do what you can do. And tomorrow, your nation will be where you want it to be.
I'm speaking the truth, but you call me a radical. You don't want to hear it? Send yourself on a sabbatical. Look at your history. Our labor here was never contractual.
The Tenure D Black Essay Contest provides opportunities for young people from grades 4 through 12 to win prizes for sharing their family histories.
My great-grandmother was born July 27th of 1934 in Mississippi. She moved to Chicago in her early 20s because there was much more broad racism in the southern regions of the U.S.
The Tenure D Black Essay Contest validates their young thoughts and creates a platform for their ideas to be taken seriously. We believe that our children would read more if what they read reflected more of who they are. Why not help them be the authors of their own experience?
Well, I started writing things in my journal, and then I started taking writing classes, and I realized I can put the things that go on in my life into my book, so I took them in my journal and I put them into my book.
On these 4 pillars, enhancing the Black literary marketplace, bolstering training and marketing for Black writers, archiving Black stories and literary experiences, and fostering writing and the telling of stories through Black youth, the Soulful Book Fair Foundation is building a literary movement for the ages that is amplifying the voices of Black authors, poets, and even composers, and creating opportunities for them to share their unique perspectives with millions of literary fans across the city and across the world.
Hey guys, it's Asada. I'm actually just here as a guest. My girl Joy, Walking Your Divine Authority, allowed me to show a little bit about the book fair. Let me bring on Joy.
That's not the one I want.
Hi, Joy.
Emancipate.
She's busy. She's busy. So what we're going to do is get things together for our guests. You're watching Walk in Your Divine Authority with Joy Secure. So I'm going to bring her on momentarily. But in the meantime, let's pay homage to the female solution, because the female solution is why we're even here today. All right. So hold on tight and let's find out what the female solution is about.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the female solution.
All right, there we have it, the female solution. I am going to bring on the woman who runs the show when it comes to Walking Your Divine Authority, Miss Joy Segure. Let me bring her in. Hi, Joy.
Hi, Sada. Talk about the firemen that put out the fire. Wow, I tell you, thank you so much. Hey, welcome to Walk in Authority. I thank you all for your patience. I tell you, sometimes you take for granted that these links are not important, but yet you were in the house, but you were in the wrong house. You were you were right where I was, and sometimes I wasn't with you. So I had to go back in and start over again. So thank you for your patience. We're going to have an exciting time, even in spite of these things, because I really feel good about this show. And this morning, we have the North family. In fact, let me introduce myself to you, please. I'm Mama Joy, for Walking in Divine Authority. Asada, thank you so very, very much for that. And as I get my breath, I want to just speak to you about a very special person whom I've known for just a few years, but an amazing, amazing woman who God showed me that she's a covenant woman in America, because she is not originally from America or from the United States. She's from Australia. And she came here, and she has a number of different talents and gifts. And right now she's the pastor of the Family Church of Wisconsin's. And I'm going to be introducing her and giving her questions to work with, and so she can feed us. Our nation is in such a need of healing, and no one person has all the answers. But I know that if we walk in that authority that God has given to us, we can make a difference. Their quest to touch some very personal connections for themselves as they went to visit the Gettysburg battlefield in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where President Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States, spoke on that battlefield where there were over 50,000 casualties there. 50,000 casualties. Almost 4,000 Union soldiers were fatally wounded, as well as over 3,100 of the Confederate soldiers were wounded. You see, we have to get to that point where we can tell the truth and tell the whole story as much as we can to the best of our ability in truth and in love and in forgiveness. Because this is our home. We all are here. We're family. And we must learn how to get along, be patient, be truthful, and work out those skills and talents that God has given to us so that we can bring the restoration that's needed in our country. There's no perfect person or perfect situation. And the Gettysburg, with over 51,000 casualties, lost in 3 days. Lost in 3 days, July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, in 3 days, 57. And we know many died after that, not because of the, immediately, but because of the infections and things that occurred later. But this is our soil. Every life matters. Every life is important. And so I'm not going to labor on that. I want you to put your hands together and greet this amazing woman, Pastor North, and her family. But right now, before we get that, I'm going to ask Daniel North if he would come up to the stage and read for us the Gettysburg Address. How are you, Daniel?
I'm great, Mama Joy. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Oh, and I'm so happy you sounding good. Perfect sounding. Thank you and congratulations. You're finishing law school, right?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Thank you, Mama Joy.
You are most welcome. We need you. We need you. So right now, unfortunately I did not have that video prepared. We were having some difficulties. So I'll just have to listen to your amazing voice and hear it. And we will, hopefully we can get it done before the end of the program, but we want to go rolling. So what Brother North is going to do is read to us the Gettysburg Address that President Abraham Lincoln read on November 19th, 1918. Come on, Joy, slow down. 1863.
All right.
So you can introduce yourself if you wanted to.
Hi. My name is Daniel North, and my relatives fought in the American Civil War on the Union side, and that included one in the Battle of Gettysburg. And I will now read the Gettysburg Address. 77 years ago, our forefathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. it is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note, nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
Yes. Thank you so very, very much for that. Thank you. What are your thoughts on that, Daniel? What was the message that you feel that you got from that?
I felt, even as I read it, the insight that our 16th president had, that it's not about us, the people who are living, it's about the people who sacrificed in order to allow us to live freely.
Yeah, I you know, and that's true. And I think that this particular week of Memorial, I said, hey, one day is not enough. One day is not enough to be able to speak about this. But you're speaking about 51,000 casualties in 3 days on that soil that you and your parents stood on in 3 days. That's just one of over 50,000 battles that ensued during the Civil War. And when we treat it lightly and do not tell the whole story, we put our future in jeopardy. Because right now there's so many people who are saying, yeah, we have a holiday, but they don't know. They don't know the reason. They don't know the sacrifices. I love what your mother is assisting me to doing, and that is bringing out a point that when life to that degree is happening all over their country, life, blood is being shared, families are being destroyed. These are times that we should never allow to happen again. And yet we see our cities all, in rampage, chaos, and confusion. Because if you don't honor those before you, how can you value life today? How can you value life today if you cannot value 50,000 men just in 3 days on that one soil of Gettysburg? So thank you so very much. Love your point. And we're going to get to Mom because we're just moving along behind. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate that. We'll call you back later to give us some more insight about your great, great, great uncle, I believe.
Yes, that's correct.
All righty. So now, may I call upon your mother, Pastor North?
Hi, Mama Joy.
How
Great to
are
be
you?
with you.
You tell us a little something about yourself, right? Briefly.
Just briefly. Well, I have to tell you, I'm very grateful to be here. And I really respect you dealing with the technology that keeps updating itself quicker than I can learn it. And that we're here together today, and that you have a passion for the history of America, to understand that America's history is also not just a record of events and things that happened, but that there is a plan behind America. And the plan is God's plan. And I am so grateful to be here in America and to be able to support the realization of this plan. Because I believe that there is no thing that happens by accident, and that everything can work together for good, albeit it takes time. So in this situation, I'm grateful to be here. I've been here now 40 years, which is a long time. Yeah. And having grown up in Australia, then I have an outsider's perspective of America. And it's hard to appreciate what your country is unless you go to another country and look at your country. So I think that the great advantage of moving around the world is that we can appreciate each other's nation. And so here in America, there's so much a spirit of generosity and so much a spirit of kindness that is really common to this nation. And like all of us, we've struggled to understand where we've come from and where we're going. And at the same time, there is a great spirit here. We call the experiences that happened in America in the last couple of centuries the Great Awakenings. And I believe at this time that we are on the verge of a great awakening. It means like a reawakening to appreciate who we are and where it is that we're going together. So because of that, I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you very much, Mama Jo.
Oh, wow. The Great Awakening. That's a really a good word, because many are not aware that just before the Civil War broke out, America had gone into a Great Awakening.
Right.
A Great Awakening had occurred. And it's something that we should be reminded of, and it's something that should be taught, part of our education, because you've come, and as you say, you're from Australia, and yet you recognize that your presence here was not unplanned, but it was called by God. And so you've given us a brief touch on that. You've also traveled to South America, USR, the South Pacifics, and many other places. So as a woman of peace, I know you're involved with the Women's Federation for Peace, and you were raised with 9 siblings. That's a big family. So how can you, what lessons in this blending of your family, how do you incorporate your mission, what you do right now in terms of making a difference? And when you went to Gettysburg, when you left from Gettysburg, what did you bring from that experience? And listening to Daniel's reading, I wonder if we could just hear that prophecy of this new nation that Abraham Lincoln was talking about. Can you see we living out those words now? Do you see yourself in those words?
I see those words are still waiting to be fulfilled. Yeah. But I still see them as our dream and our goal.
You can see them unfolding. The fact that you were able to see them unfolding.
Yeah, because this nation is founded under God. Every coin says so. On every bill it says so. In the Pledge of Allegiance it says so. This is one nation under God. This is the central point of America. And if we as a people allow God to leave America, then America will fall down. because America is great, as de Tocqueville said, because America is good. It doesn't mean she's perfect. She's made many mistakes and will continue to do so. But her goals and her central point are the same. It's interesting to me, that you put these two questions together, the growing up in a family of more than one sibling, and also the reality of the experience of Gettysburg. Because to me, both things relate very closely together because they are akin in that the feeling at Gettysburg was so much sadness for all the mothers of all those young men who died there. When there's a death, it takes place of any barriers between us, and we recognize the eternal relationship, in this case between mothers and sons. So there's not a monument there to mothers, but there are many.
I'm trying to get that one. There's a picture there. The one here, we're going to add that so you can see it, and it's from Virginia, calling,
yes.
saying to my sons, and and to me, I believe that even though we're family now, we should also include ourselves as being the family of America, even in the past, and be able to honor those mothers as well in the loss of their children and their sons and their daughters and their cities,
and their land. There's so many
and their land and like I said, my part in it with my ancestors, it's something that we have not been taught, but many of us are coming aboard and understanding that the responsibility we have and some of the habits that we've been continuing to perpetuate and how we treat ourselves. Because like the young lady that came on earlier, Asada Kirkland, she has a book, goes out and says, stop beating Black children, because she had observed that the manner in which we were raising our children were being raised was pretty much the way the slave master was raising us. And we hadn't really come too far from that. So there are a lot of habits when we don't have conversations like this and have discussions that the things that we, what is it? Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so we have to work on changing these mindsets and look at ourselves, look at our history from a different perspective. And as you said, let's find what is the task that God has given to us for this place of America, because she is growing, she is evolving, but she's not in the spirit that she is to be. And so rather than become angry, let's change the spirit by changing our own thoughts and our own behavior, because each one of us make this place, America, what she is today.
Yeah, that's right. And in the family, like it's just my family, we're 9 children, right? Then you realize that all of these are people. And not only they're people, but as you get to know each other and grow up, you become also friends. And that perspective is what we need as a nation. That this is the way we need to see each other. This is my family. And because of that, they're my friends. Yeah. And also our family went through a growth and development, because after my mother's death, my dad remarried, and that brought 3 stepbrothers and a stepsister into the family. So then the family expanded. It had to incorporate, it had to include, and it had to understand that these people who are new to this family belong in this family. And the way that came about very smoothly is because of my stepmother. She embraced everybody. So it is the mother's role, a very central role, to bring about peace in the world through bringing about peace in the family. As you know, everybody who has a family, if you're the mum in that family, you have a big job just keeping peace in your family.
I'm going to jump on that one right quick. You are so right on that one. You say, and what you're saying is that we need mothers.
Yes.
We need mothers right now. We need mamas to come together, because you're showing me how, even though we are different, we're coming from different places, whether we realize it, we're a blended family. But it takes mothers to come together to bring us into that reality that we are one family. And so I love the way you worded that and put that together, making it personal. And as your, I wouldn't even say your stepmother, but she was the next mother who stepped into
the next mother. She was.
Yeah, who stepped in that position and brought the family together. And that was needed. And it made a difference. Now I see that my brother, he had something to say. So are you ready? You wanted to ask Pastor North a question?
She's answered most of the questions I had, and I appreciate because she is such a world traveler. Could you give us an idea of what the people elsewhere think of the United States at this time? Even after you viewed Gettysburg.
Yeah. When you travel around the world, America as a nation is not really understood. And the history of America is not well known. And what many people think about when they think about America, especially in third world countries, is Marlboro cigarettes and McDonald's. And the other big thing is Coca-Cola. These advertising giants are in every downtown, at every airport. Maybe they are the preeminent things. So when people are in a third world country, they're looking to buy what? American cigarettes, because they're better. Or they're looking to buy the things that are made in America, because there's a perception that this is better quality, better value, and more desirable. I had a professor at seminary, and he's Greek Orthodox. And he said in Greece, they have a story that heavenly parent is going around the world and he's taking with him all the blessings. Somehow he set off across the Atlantic, and he got to the shore of the east coast of America, and he's so tired because there's so many blessings. So he left most of them in America. And then he traveled across America and went across the Pacific and visited all the other nations. But there wasn't so much left because he left it all here. So that's how many people see America. They see it as a place of salvation. They see it as a place of victory. They see it as a place of freedom. But they don't know the history of why that is the case. So they have like a hunger to be here and to share in the blessings of being here. But they don't understand the roots of why those blessings are here. And I think as a nation, we need to appreciate this nation is blessed. And like all blessing, it is not blessed for herself. She is blessed for what she can give to the world. And this point of any blessing that we have, be it on an individual level or family level, let's say you're a great musician. That's great. But what are you going to do with it? If you're not going to write music for the world, then some lesser level. So we who are given so much, we have so much responsibility. And we are much, much, much more inclined to think about my rights than my responsibilities. So I think as a people, we have to really treasure understanding that we are responsible. We're responsible together, and we are responsible under God. We are accountable to God for what we do.
Yes, we are. And that has to be taught. And that has to be taught. And that has to be taught. And that starts at home, and then build institutions to be able to be in alignment with that. I cannot even imagine, but I never thought of America around the world. It's thought about McDonald's and Coca-Cola and cigarettes. So we'll be right back. We're gonna have a brief promo. Our CEO on the news media. So just let's take a break and hear from her.
I'm Naima Latif.
I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms.
All righty. Well, we're back, and that was our CEO, Sis Naima Latif, and her two sisters. And she said, yeah, they're actually sisters too. So this is a family in various areas too. I understand we have a couple of comments. Would you like to make one, Asada? Because I don't see them here. I don't know where you are.
Hi, guys. I'm going to read a couple of comments that have come through. One from the Higher Learning Network says, Mama Joy, you are such a joy to tune into. Your show you have such awesome guests. Thanks for a great show as usual. God bless this ministry. So that's from the Higher Learning Network. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yep. Zelda Robinson also says, grand afternoon, beautiful people. Enjoying the show from Indiana. Thanks for sharing. So it's being seen all over the place. And then we have from Candace Gunn. Thanks for sharing this great program. So kudos to you guys. You're doing a good job and people are tuning in. So back to you.
And thank you, darling Asada. so fair, books affair. I tell you, we're just so grateful. And right now, I'd like for you to share with us a story, David, of your uncle. I'm gonna see if I can get that picture up of your uncle who, that's your great uncle, correct?
Yes. Yeah. It's been a while since the Civil War.
But if it's not that far away, it may seem like, and it is to some degree, but it's also not that far, because not that long ago, it really isn't. It's not that far where we should be so far removed and have forgotten, because their families and their cities, Atlanta, you think about it, Atlanta was burned down completely. We had grand cities that were torn down, and this is on our home front. And again, if we forget these lives, these men and these families and the cities that were torn to bits, and we're not even getting into the indigenous people who were going through, and then we had and my ancestors during the same time, they were in slavery. So we had a number of different things going on at that time, and different emotions, because our country was separated. There was two presidents. Some people never think about that. There were two presidents. There were two constitutions. There were two. Well, Union had one currency, but the South had multiple currency. Each state had their own currency. So it was not a clear-cut situation during that time. It was a lot of chaos, but each side believed that they were doing what God ordained them to do. And I want you to bring this story about your great uncle. And also, I don't know if you have your other relative too, the one who eventually became a chaplain, which I thought was amazing too, because he was 60
Yes,
years.
Reuben North.
Right. Well, share that with us right quickly, please, if you don't mind.
Oh, sure, Mama Joy. So I just have some written reflections here on first my relative Cornelius North, who, as you said, was my great grandfather's brother. And he fought on the first day of the Battle of Gettysburg and was injured in both arms there, but he survived. And also on Reuben North, who was the father to Cornelius, who enlisted as a chaplain because at age 60 he couldn't enlist as a soldier. And our family was there on the battlefield in May of last year, 2024, out in Pennsylvania. And we were in Pennsylvania and found an opportunity to visit the Gettysburg battlefield. We were able to spend an entire day at the battlefield. It was a powerful experience to be there and to be there together as a family. There are so many monuments and memorials to all different aspects of the 3-day battle. One of the things that intrigued me about the battle is that neither side planned for there to be a battle at Gettysburg.
Right.
Neither the Northern Army of the Potomac or the Southern forces under the General Robert E. Lee planned to be there. But they crossed paths at Gettysburg, and there was a battle at Gettysburg immortalized in American history. It is probable that every school student has heard of the battle. Furthermore, this battle marks the first Northern victory in the Civil War. Up until that time, neither side had been able to win the war or convince the other side to surrender. But no matter which general was leading the Northern forces, there had been no victory against General Robert E. Lee. It seems to me that this battle in Gettysburg took place not in a time set by the Northern contingent, nor in a time set by the Southern contingent, but in a time set by God. God decided there should be a battle. God decided that this field would be consecrated. I want to bring a personal note to the experience we had about 6 weeks ago, 6 weeks and a year now that we visited the battleground at Gettysburg.
Mm-hmm.
The battle itself is a huge area. It's occurred over 5 miles north to south and 3 miles east to west. And that area fully encompasses the village of Gettysburg. I think it was Joseph Stalin who commented that one death is a tragedy, but 1 million deaths is a statistic.
Yes, it is.
As Abraham Lincoln states in his Gettysburg Address, the soil is consecrated by the blood of the people who suffered and died at that battlefield. As we toured the battlefield, utilizing a self-guided auto tour through an app on our phone, We visited 25 sites that were important in the battle. I'd like to talk about, to give it a personal touch, not a statistic, but a tragedy, and introduce you to my great 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 grandfather's brother.
Yes, yes, yes. He's amazing.
He was at the Battle of Gettysburg. And as you see, he has a better beard than I do. And as I mentioned, at that battle, he was injured and during his service in both arms. And in the summer of 1863, Robert E. Lee, who is thought by many to be the ablest and best general of the Civil War, who unfortunately was on the side of the South, fighting for secession and the promulgation of slavery. He had won every battle up to the Battle of Gettysburg. He decided to take the offensive into the North and took his Confederate army up through Maryland to southern Pennsylvania and was attacking the Union and attempting to weaken their ability to make war by attacking their manufacturing centers. A further goal was to come back, attack Washington, and take the capital. Abraham Lincoln instructed his generals to go out and confront the Confederate army, hopefully expel them from the North and defeat them. Lincoln was very frustrated because he had not been able to find a general to command the Grand Army of the Republic, the Union Army, who he felt was aggressive enough and talented enough to be victorious. On the eve of the Battle of Gettysburg, he changed generals and placed General Meade in command. The two armies were moving through Pennsylvania.
You know what, Daniel? I'm gonna have to cut you in just a little bit. I hate to hear that. Could you? I wanted to hear, because we were short getting on along.
Yes.
I wanted to hear about your relative who enlisted in the service of the Civil War, and
Cornelius,
and he was 60 years old. And the fervent and the spirit and the compassion that people had about the cause was really profound, because he wants to go to war. He wants to fight for his country at 60 years old. Then he enlists that. We got two more comments. Okay, all righty. You want to give it to us, Asada?
Okay, here I am. So basically, Jacqueline Credo says, "Blessing, Mama Joy. You are looking beautiful as always. Thank you for always continuing in your divine authority. I love you, Jackie Credo, La Plaza, Maryland." Yeah, so
Maryland. We're not too far. The Battle of Etna was there. Yeah, so she's right there near. We were planning on having a tour near her. Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
Cool. And then we have another comment from Naima, one from Naima, who is the CEO of Female Solution. She said, "This is amazing history. We need to take this to the schools. Thanks for sharing."
Yes.
So there you have it. People are tuning in from Indiana, Maryland, and all over. So back to you guys.
Woo, thank you so very much. Love it, love it, love it. How do you feel about that, Pastor North?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
it is great. And Daniel, I wanted to have we're short, and so we're gonna have to take that finish that up at another time, because we really want to be able to take time and give a little honor to the memorial, if you don't mind. And I wanted to get back to you, Pastor North. I'm so sorry. I couldn't get more from you. But I think it's important that people know that there is a shift going on. And if they read that Gettysburg Address, they'll be able to see the prophetic that is there, that was in Abraham Lincoln, as he was able to determine that this nation was making a shift. And he said that this nation under God will be given a new birth of freedom. A new birth of freedom. And we're living in that new birth of freedom. My ancestors were not, in fact, the 54th Regiment was a part of the many battles in the Civil War, but not of the Gettysburg. But they were a major force. And so we want to be able to recognize the fact that we had individuals, we had powerful people, not only there, but I learned just through getting prepared for this program that there was a colored group down in Louisiana that was named the Louisiana Native Regiment. Never heard of them before. So there are a lot of stories that we have not been told. And as you say, that we need to have them in school, but it's going to take people like us to go and dig up the truth and present it to us, because it's not what you don't say that makes things work. It's what you don't know that creates a chaos. Okay. That's why Jesus said, hey, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Hello. And you'll know them by their fruits. And right now we want better fruits. So right now I'm going to take advantage and show a little video here, ask my brother to come in and comment so we can close out. And because we wanted to be understood that even though we were are enslaved, but we were appreciative people. And this is another part of history that was not told. So just bear with me as you hear about the very first Memorial Day in America. Can you play this video, please? I'm clicking on it. It's not doing anything. Yeah, please. I'm ready for it now, because we'll be kicking off in about 5 minutes. It's about 2.5 minutes. And they're telling you about the very first memorial. I pressed on the add to the stage, and it's not moving. Okay. Well, where is it? We don't see it. I see you, and I see it down. You all don't see it, do you? Because it's not up.
You bring it up?
No, I can't bring it up. That's it. It's not coming up.
That's your stage.
Back in May of 1868, but historians say that honor belongs to someone else. And a day that history has forgotten until recently. Jalen Henderson explains how once enslaved people started America's first Memorial Day.
This looks like a regular park, right? Kids playing, ducks swimming, and there's that fountain that always seems to be running no matter the time of year. So what if I told you that this place, Hampton Park, was once a cemetery? But not just any cemetery. One dedicated to more than 250 Civil War soldiers, which also just so happens to be home of the first ever Memorial Day ceremony.
They had a small children's choir sing, preachers preached. So it was their way of dedicating not only the graves of the dead, but it was also their way of declaring the meaning of the Civil War and declaring, a federal union victory.
That's right. But back then, it was called Decoration Day. And over time, that name changed to Dedication Day. It wasn't until the 1960s when Memorial Day became the official name. But whatever you call it, it all started right here in Charleston, South Carolina. Back in 1865, photography was barely a thing. And obviously, there was no such thing as video. So here's what we think happened. Leading up to May 1st, dozens of Black Charlestonians exhumed a mass grave of more than 250 men. They then dug individual graves into rows, building a 10-foot tall white fence around them, with an archway overhead spelling out Martyrs of the Racecourse. And on the actual Decoration Day, it's estimated that 10,000 mostly formerly enslaved Black people commemorated those lives with a parade. They sang hymns, decorated graves, had picnics, and watched Union troops perform marches and drills. It all sounds familiar, right? So why haven't we heard about it before?
Well, I think it's a classic case of how memory works. This was not a story white Charlestonians wanted to remember. This is the way dominant and less dominant stories get remembered or commemorated. Simply depends on who's in control of the narrative.
Thank you. So thank you so very much for that. So I hope that you picked up on something. That was the very first Memorial Day. It was the freed slaves, out of gratitude for the Union soldiers. They went and dug up those men's bodies from a mass grave and individually prayed over each one of those bodies and blessed them and prayed for their families. If you were, able to get to that story. This is something that America has chosen not to do. But because of people like you, Pastor North and Daniel and North family, who are seeking for the truth, and as you said, coming from other places outside the United States, saying, you know what, United States, you have more than you realize how people are looking for you. You owe the world a lot. And so there are many blessings here at some tremendous cause. So I want to thank you. Thank you for coming again. And each one of you for your comments. We are so grateful. I'm getting ready on my brother was supposed to, it's like when in life you go through things and you got to kind of go with the flow. So I just want you to know, I love you dearly. Thank you for coming on. I hope, do you have any final words you want to give to us, Pastor North?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mama Joy. We're all engaged in the story, and we're writing the story, and we can indeed, as it says at the Storyteller Circle, UW-Madison, change the face and the heart of America.
Get in the picture. You half here. Get close to this Daniel.
Yeah, our storytelling can change the face and the heart of America, as Robert Gard's Storytelling Circle says in Madison. And we're writing the story. But like you said, we have to speak the story. We can't just let it be told to us.
No, you're absolutely
thank you
right.
very much for sharing about the first Memorial Day.
Thank you. Ernest, do you have anything you want to say? Okie dokie.
No, I'm just grateful to be here and to be able to share my relative's story.
And it's a great story, and it's something that needs to be shown to the world. What do you think about that?
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. So that'd be, to God be the glory, and thank each one of you. And thank you for those of you who are on Facebook or YouTube for the Female Solution and with Mama Joy and walking in your divine authority. Hope you pick up something that you learn and apply it and use it. America needs changing, and it begins with you. Take care.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Ngiyabonga. Senegal, Jaref. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.